Ready, give it to go. Terrence, you first. Accio. Good. Bailey.
Accio.
Very good. Luke.
Accio.
Wonderful. Now Gretchen.
Accio.
Excellent. Now all together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Accio Hogwarts Radio.
This is Hogwarts Radio, episode 244 for May 19th, 2019. Hogwarts Radio is the official podcast for wizarding news from HPA&A, discussing all things Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, and the rest of the wizarding world. For the quickest up-to-date news on the franchise, make sure you check out wizarding.news. Welcome to episode 244 of Hogwarts Radio. I'm Terrence Pinkston.
I'm Bailey Riddle.
I'm Tyler Starr.
And I'm Jeff Gillen.
Hogwarts Radio can be found anywhere you get your podcasts online. It doesn't matter where you listen, just be sure to click the subscribe button, and you'll have a new episode as soon as it's released.
Make sure you follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to get in on the fun with other listeners and fans of the series.
And don't forget, Hogwarts Radio is also on Patreon. When you sign up, you receive instant access to bonus content, including Into the Common Room, Hogshead Radio, and much more. Sign up today over at patreon.com/Hogwarts Radio.
Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon producer Michael. Well, the fandom is on fire once again, it seems. But we do have a full show planned for everybody this week. And thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. We have a lot of news to get through. We do have some controversial, much as it is in the fandom nowadays, topics to talk about. We'll give you a quick update on some announcements happening with Hogwarts Radio. And we have our Patreon question of the week as well that we're going to answer and read some of the responses from some of our patrons. And we'll wrap up the show nicely with a bow tie, like Tyler's bow tie that he's wearing right now, with Avada Kedavra, Amortentia, and Imperio. You guys, I'm really jealous right now of Gretchen and Alex. So Gretchen...
Oh, why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
Well, I'll tell you. Thanks for asking. So Gretchen is on assignment this week, on a super secret assignment for MuggleNet. But Alex decided that she wanted to go ahead and join her. So Alex and Gretchen are hanging out at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter theme park right now. Of course, Gretchen, she'll talk about that whenever she is able to, or you can read about it on MuggleNet later on down the line. But have you guys seen some of their posts on Instagram from the other day? I mean, it's so cute. Those two just finally came together.
They look like they're having so much fun.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. Some of the pictures that they're sending. If you haven't had the chance already, go check out our stories on Instagram. And Alex kind of took over the account for the past couple of days, and she's posting some of the fun that they're getting in on. And gosh, we're only about a month out, I think, from the new ride opening down there. So I wonder if that's what they're down there for.
Oh, maybe. I do want to say, I just want Alex to run my Instagram life. I don't know if she's busy, but yeah, she did a great job.
She really did. Yeah. We were living vicariously through those stories.
Have you been, Terrence? You've been down to Orlando, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, several times. Good. Looking forward to going again very soon, just to kind of check out the ride and see what that's all about.
Tight.
I'm kind of interested in. I mean, they suckered me into it. It's like, oh, this is going to be a show/ride, and I'm like, I wonder how you're going to do it. So I have to go down there, and just kind of check it out.
Yeah,
it looks like they're pulling out all the stops.
And I mean, you could never go often enough.
That's true.
No.
Very true.
The last progress picture I saw from one of those overhead spy drones, I think it was an account called BioReconstruct on Twitter. They showed that, what's it called? A stall and fall. So that's going to be part of the ride where you go up and that it looks like you're going to just keep going into the sky, I guess, and then it just stops and you fall backwards. That'll be exciting.
That's going to be so cool.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to incorporate a lot of different things that are from a different variety of rides into one, which is why it's probably going to be pretty cool.
Whenever you said Stalin fall, I was like, what does Joseph Stalin have to do with this?
That's my favorite part of Harry Potter is Stalin.
Yeah, that Joseph Stalin, he was a vital part of the story.
It might be in Fantastic Beasts.
Anyway, you never know, right? Crap. Speaking of, we actually have an update on the Wizards Unite game.
Yes.
Bailey has had the opportunity to download it through the same means. Actually, thanks to one of our patrons, Michael, who's the producer for this episode, we were able to get directions on how to download the game. I guess he let us know earlier this week in our Patreon Slack channel that he talked to a guy from his IT department, and he said, yeah, if you set up like a VPN and then you go in and create an account, yada yada, and you'll be able to download the game. Well, Bailey's like, I wonder if I can just do it the same way that I downloaded Hogwarts Mystery, because Bailey had advanced access to Hogwarts Mystery last year, and she did. Like, she was able to download the game that same method. So she's had the chance to kind of go in and look at it. Bailey, what is it all about?
Well, while downloading it early sounds fantastic, it's not been quite as extensive as I thought it was going to be. Michael has also had the same issue, I've realized, but it appears to us that nothing has been populated in our area yet, in our country. So playing the game is not as detailed as it will be once it finally launches, but the graphics are amazing, and I think that just even being able to sort of preview what the interface is like is going to be awesome. It looks great, and I think it's going to be a really fun game once there's actually things to do.
What kind of things can you do in it right now that are maybe similar to what we might see in the future, I guess? Or
as of right now, it basically all it let me do was there's an intro sort of tutorial that shows you how to play the game moving forward once you find these artifacts in the wild. So it automatically populates an artifact right where you are when you start. And Hagrid is trapped in some webs in wherever it is that you are, and you have to help free Hagrid, which then gets you like badges towards finishing collections of different things that you're going to have to find in the wild.
I know you sent a message to us last night as you were going through, and you're like, Hagrid is in my living room.
That would be something to see.
Yeah,
but it looks cool though.
It looked pretty cool.
So I had mentioned in our private Slack conversation about how old my phone and tablet and everything is. That's going to be an issue, right? I mean, I'm imagining. I barely will use my phone because it is so abhorrent to use. Mm-hmm. So Snapchat barely works on it. So I doubt augmented reality, like the Snapchat filters, take forever to load.
Because it's going to be utilizing some of the best technology available right now.
I'm afraid that, for someone like me who for years has been behind on technology because of things out of my control, it's sort of, we're going to get into this in our Wizarding World Gold discussion, I think, about separating fans into haves and have-nots. It is based on, what you're able to have. And that's a personal choice, too, I guess, for some people to choose whether or not to buy a really expensive phone or not. But it feels a little disheartening to know that I'm going to have to spend $1,000 on a phone just to play this game. But that's my choice. So
I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even I have an iPhone 7 Plus, so it's 2.5 years old, maybe. And my phone started overheating as I was playing this game. Like, it started to get warm in my hand.
That is my concern.
And I was on it for maybe 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I'm planning to get, I always, when I'm able to, I always try to get a top of the line device, and I try to make it last. So I've had my, phone from Motorola for 6 years now. It's been 2013. I bought it when it was brand new as a Moto X, and it had all the brand new features and facial recognition and all that stuff, but it's got a really slow old processor and low memory, and it just cannot do it, the stuff that today's apps want to do.
Right. I actually just upgraded my phone about 6 months ago, I want to say, just for the memory space, because Hogwarts Mystery itself takes up so much memory. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I know that Wizards Unite is going to take up probably just the same amount, if not more.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's a concern. I was just wondering. Thank you, Bailey, for highlighting that.
Now, Bailey, is it too much of me to ask how you got it early?
So basically, it's released in Australia already. And if you have an Australian iTunes account, you can go download the apps that are available in Australia. So there's pretty much a loophole where you can create a second iTunes account that has an Australian address and an Australian phone number. And that allows you to then download the app.
And I wonder if the same thing would apply for the Google Play Store.
I would imagine so, because we had there was one of our staff members that had that got the game early, that got the Hogwarts Mystery game earlier, and they had an Android, if I'm not mistaken. So I shouldn't see why the same idea wouldn't work on Android devices now.
Depends on the protections they have in place and whether or not they want to enforce such hard line, geographic boundaries or not.
Right.
Which sounds like the app itself doesn't care if you're running it here in the United States and it's letting you, even though you surreptitiously downloaded it from Australia. As long as the app, obviously, it's a geolocating. It's kind of like geocaching, but much more advanced nowadays with your phone. So it knows where you are when you run the app, and apparently it doesn't care if it's letting you run it here.
So that's one of the questions that I had for Bailey as well.
Well, exactly. It runs. There's just nothing to play at this point. There's nothing that I've come across and that our patron Michael has come across. He also downloaded it that we found out in the wild to capture.
Bailey, does this mean that you have an Australian address and an Australian phone number for some reason?
Well, back when Hogwarts Mystery was released, there was an article that was shared amongst, I think, just the Hogwarts Radio hosts at the time that explained basically how to go about creating a second iTunes account with this information. So there was a link in that article about how you could basically use like a random Australian address generator, and that was how I created that.
That's so cool. It sounds so spy-like. Like I dig that. That's cool. You're gonna have to send me that link.
I felt like I was doing something wrong.
I love that. Yeah. Send me that article. I'm gonna do it.
So, Jeff, you're kind of our technology guru here, or IT guru. Whenever you launch something as massive as this game, obviously you're not going to throw all of the features in all at once. You're just going to roll it out. You're going to beta test it. You're going to see if you can sustain the traffic, first of all. You're going to see if your servers can handle the amount of stress that they're under. And then you start rolling out in phases. You think more or less that's what they're doing in this case?
Who knows why they chose Australia as like the test bed or the first release or anything. I couldn't find any rhyme or reason in that other than they were lucky. They don't get a lot of first access to things, and it's really nice for them. But coming from Niantic, who's already done Pokemon Go with huge success, I don't think they're worried about server utilization or anything like that. I think I read a story that it was either, I hope it was Niantic, it might have been Jam City, just raised another series of money for fundraising. So I think they will be all set to support the infrastructure of it, and they also know what they're doing because of Pokemon Go. So I don't have a concern about that at all. And also Niantic did come from a project at Google, so they are very, very good with technology, and I'm not worried about that part at all, really.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's some of the problems that that Pokemon Go initially had, and sure, the problems that Pokemon Go had. And
we get to benefit from that. So that was like the beta test for our
exactly
for Visage Unite, basically.
Right.
I will say so far that I noticed yesterday when I first downloaded the app that it was very laggy and unresponsive at times. Like it would go to load a page and it would just load a black screen. It would not actually load the app. So I would have to force the app, open it up, and then it would continue. And I don't know if that's because of my phone. I don't know if that's because of how much data it had to download initially. But today it was much better.
It could have been, like you said, initial loading or your phone or both. Sounds like that's one of those things that when as a developer, when you're developing something that isn't publicly launched yet or not fully launched, it's basically should be expected by the users, and I think they told them that anything can happen. It's still in development. We can your offline all of a sudden, and without even telling you, and just deal with it. And that's that's fair. To me, I mean, they're actively working on it, trying to get it finished, trying to make it better. So can't expect it to work perfectly, or even at all at this point, honestly.
So I wonder whenever they, because of course it's supposed to launch in the summer here. I wonder if it's going to be launched as a beta, if it's going to be rolled out in like phases, like half of the country is going to get it, and then the other half's going to get it, or like kind of sections, just to see if.
I want to look back at how they did Pokemon Go, but again, I feel like that was a really good test ground for what they're about to do with Harry Potter Wizards Unite. And again, that's to our fandom's extreme benefit that they did this before in an entirely other franchise, worked out all the bugs, hopefully, and now they're going to do it with ours.
So I'm kind of wondering, does this put pressure on the current infrastructure in place, like the cell network infrastructure, to kind of step up their game in like maybe certain spots? Or
I doubt it'll have an impact on actual cell usage. I mean, that's up to the carriers, obviously, but in the intervening years since Pokemon Go, the carriers are continuing to make improvements. We're talking about 5G now, but that's quite a ways off. 4G LTE should be sufficient for that, for Wizards Unite, and hopefully most people these days are using Wi-Fi for almost everything. Wi-Fi has been undergoing huge expansion. If you have Comcast in the United States as your cable provider, this is not an advertisement. I'm not endorsing them, but if you have them, they have Xfinity Wi-Fi, which if you log in on your phone or any mobile device, you get essentially, free. It's not free. You're paying for Comcast at your home, but you get Wi-Fi access virtually everywhere. I mean, there's been almost nowhere I've gone that didn't have Xfinity Wi-Fi. If you're near any business, because if they have Comcast, you'll get Wi-Fi for free.
That's very cool. I had no idea that you could virtually get Wi-Fi anywhere, and that's really going to help out with this game too. The faster the network, the faster the speed, the easier I think it will be to play.
Absolutely. Does sound like you're going to need a pretty modern phone, though. If a 2-year-old phone couldn't really keep up, then a 6-year-old phone definitely won't.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, the leadoff on this week's episode goes hand in hand with our discussion, so we're going to be discussing this in the later part of this particular article in just a bit. But so a couple of days ago, it was announced that Pottermore is it's going away. It's merging into. So just a few days ago, Warner Brothers and Pottermore announced that they're going to be merging into a new brand called Wizarding World Digital. And according to J.K. Rowling's publicist, Neil Blair, he's really excited. He says this venture is going to widen and deepen what we have been able to do on Pottermore so far. There's no reason why we won't be able to do something because there's a rights issue. The only limits will be our imaginations and what technology is available. Now, we can, according to the article over here on MuggleNet, we can now exclusively reveal that the service, this exciting new venture, is going to have a premium paid tier. Yeah, that's right. Soon, you'll have the option to pay for premium access to the best and brightest parts of the Wizarding World, including, thanks to the merger of Warner Brothers and Pottermore, the 7 published Potter novels.
Can I stop you right there? I wondered about that part of the announcement. You can't, on the current Pottermore, you can purchase the ebooks, correct? I believe
yes,
you can.
That is correct. Yeah.
The way they worded this announcement, or the way they just regurgitated what they said, which is good that you put it that way. Doesn't it make it sound like you can just access the books as part of the service? Or am I totally misreading that?
No, that's the sense that I got from it too, was that not only can you buy the digital ebooks, you will be able to actually read them on the Wizarding World Gold, whatever platform, Wizarding World Digital.
That's what I mean, is technically you wouldn't be buying the books then. You'd be paying Wizarding World World Gold, which would give you access to the books.
Yep.
Much like today, we have access rights. You can either rent a movie and it basically just explodes in 3 days and you can't use it anymore, or you can buy it and you have a license to watch it as much as you want, but it's still, you don't own it. That's an interesting distinction we need to make. Books are printed, they're in your hand, you can resell them, you can give them away, you can do whatever you want with them. The same cannot be said of digital items, period.
Yeah. And this point, even just so early on in this announcement, kind of blew me away, because it was telling me that Pottermore no longer is going to exist, and that Warner Brothers, I don't know if this is true, this is all speculation, but it feels as though Warner Brothers was like, you know what, we're just going to buy the digital heart of the Wizarding World. We're just going to take that all over ourselves, and now you're getting your Harry Potter book, not through Scholastic, not through Bloomsbury or any of these other great book publishers or whatever, or Pottermore itself. You're now getting it from Warner Brothers. And it felt a little weird to me. I don't know. Am I speculating too much on that?
No.
Yeah. No, to that exact point, I mistakenly at first tweeted out on Wizarding News that the joint venture would be mostly operated by Warner Brothers. And I got an email from Pottermore, and Neil Blair tweeted at me saying, no. It is a cooperative arrangement between the current Pottermore and Warner Brothers. Pottermore.com, and this is speculation, but pretty safe speculation based on some evidence I've discovered. Pottermore.com will most likely switch completely to wizardingworld.com. They've already got much of the same URL structures there. If you go to help.pottermore.com and then you go to help.wizardingworld.com, it's almost identical in some of the categories, some of the content. And they've basically said as much anyway, that it will be moving over, and they've introduced, Wizarding World Gold and all this other stuff. Well, they haven't introduced it, but I'm getting away from the main point, which is that I again lost it. What were we talking about?
Talking about Warner Brothers overseeing.
Warner Brothers, yeah. It was mostly... the knee-jerk reaction that I got from Neil and Pottermore staffers was that no, it is a joint venture, and that is exactly what it means. It is joint. And his later statement, or his statements to the bookseller, were along the same lines, which is that the reasoning for this was, the evolving of the digital landscape, blah blah blah, that kind of marketing speak. But it's true, things change, and Pottermore was always very much an island of J.K. Rowling's, and I kind of like that about it personally.
No, absolutely, I feel the exact same way. Like, it's Pottermore to me felt book.
Yes,
Warner Brothers felt movie. Always. I had those distinctions between the two, right? Now it's like Wizarding World Digital is all of it put together, and it kind of makes me feel uneasy, because I think as fans, we've always had the distinction between Joe's world and the movie world, which, not saying one is better than the other or anything, or maybe we are, but we've had that distinction a little bit. And now with WWD, it's tough to make that distinction between the two.
And I think that's their intention, is they don't want they don't want a legal distinction, because then they're able to, the Pottermore side is able to use all the Warner Brothers assets, and even, the flip side, Warner Brothers will be able to use all the Pottermore assets, I'm assuming.
Well,
so that's going to be interesting.
I mean, this is just a combination of them consolidating everything. I mean, look, Wizarding World as a brand was introduced to us last year in February, I believe, February or March, right before the trailer.
We should have
Fantastic
seen
Beasts.
something like this coming. In fact, I had a little bit of a divination moment when I chose Wizarding News as the new name of the site, I have to admit.
Nice.
Right.
Very smooth.
That was way back when I started seeing them always talk about J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World. And I thought, man, they're really pushing this name, or this term. And so I thought, well, I never really liked the HPANA name, so there we go.
So, Bailey, the big question I want to ask here is, what's going to happen to Pottermore itself, like the name Pottermore? Because, I mean, as we were saying, for nearly 9 years, this has been the go-to hub. It was an interactive reading companion, and then it was a fan site, and then it was a repository of official information about the franchise. Is Pottermore is it gonna go away, or is it gonna revert back to its original form? And if not, what do we think Warner Brothers is gonna do with that Pottermore name?
I don't know. It makes it, from what we get with the joint venture, it almost makes it seem like the two things are either going to stay separate and this Wizarding World Digital is going to be a third entity that's amongst both of them, or both of them are going to merge together to become one. I don't necessarily care if we lose the Pottermore name. Pottermore has never really known what it's wanted to be. It's had so many different iterations, but I don't want to lose the content that we've gotten through that. What's going to happen to the sorting quiz and the wand quiz and your Patronus quiz, not to mention all of the vast information that's on that site?
Well, Pottermore has always sort of been two different things, honestly. There's Pottermore Publishing, which is the sales arm of all her books and ebooks and all that stuff. And then there's Pottermore.com, which was for consumers like us of the Harry Potter franchise to get, info and whatever fun stuff we wanted from them. I always felt like it was a fan site for J.K. Rowling. And my concern as someone who's run a fan site for 16 years is this new venture seems like even more of a combined, it just seems like a Harry Potter super fan site, but run by the creators.
It really does feel like a monopoly, and I get it. They're the people who are paying for this brand. They're the people who are working to get this brand, marketing it, everything. But there's so much in the actual announcement and in what MuggleNet has released that worries me, because it's like they're seeing all the work that we've all put into this fandom, whether it be podcasts, fan sites, news articles, whatever. They're taking all of that hard-earned work that we've put together out into the fandom, kind of claimed as our own and really taken pride in, and they're taking it and being like, okay, and thank you so much for that. I'm just going to Accio this and Accio that, and we're just going to now charge you for it. And that worries me, because accessibility obviously within this fandom has been so important, but also the kind of ownership that we've all kind of felt. I mean, they're even taking events. I mean, we saw them last year shutting down this event, that event, this event, and now they're saying, but guess what? You get to be entered into our own officially sanctioned event. And it's just like, what are you doing?
That's their prerogative as the rights owner legally, but morally.
But is it the right thing to do? Is it the right thing to step all over the fan sites and the fans that have kind of that are essentially responsible for the success of this franchise? And it feels like they're just saying, you know what, we're going to do it. We can do it in an official capacity. We don't have to go through anybody. We're doing it because we can, and we're going to do it better. And to me, that is just a slap in the face to the fans and the content creators that have kept the series afloat.
Yeah, just like, isn't Harry Potter profitable enough already? Why do they have to do one more thing to make money? Haven't the greedy people of these companies and businesses made enough money off of Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling? We
tweeted on Wizarding News just the other day, and it got virtually no response from people seeing it. I get maybe it was boring. I don't know. I thought it was important. Hogwarts Mystery, what's it called? Yeah, Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery has made over $100 million in less than a year.
Oh my God.
And I looked at the number of employees Jam City has. It's unclear because I don't know if they're a public company or not. But the figures I saw were anywhere from 500 to 700, and that's as recently as 2018.
I wonder what the split is. I wonder how much they have to give, because obviously,
here we go. That's a good question. Yeah, I was wondering that too, because 500 employees, if you divide $100 million between 500 employees, that's $200,000 each person that works for Jam City.
Mm-hmm.
And not everyone at Jam City works on this game, and Hogwarts Mystery makes up 30% of the company's total revenue.
And how many other games do they have?
They have a number, but this is obviously their big one.
But
that just proves that just may prove that their money-making schematics in the game work, which they do. What kid is going to want to wait around when you could buy energy?
I've spent so much money on that damn game.
I think on the first day, Terrence spent about $50.
Yeah, I did.
That is my hugest concern with this new venture is naked money grabs, and kids especially. Kids are still being introduced to this series all the time. Right. People my age that have kids now are reading it to their kids, and they're learning it, and they're going to go online. And what are they going to go to? One of the fan sites or this thing?
Right. So what we are going to do is we're going to discuss this here in just a bit about the Wizarding World Gold subscription package and the monetization of the Wizarding World franchise. We're going to continue that here in just a moment. First, I do want to run through just a couple of announcements that we have for everybody today. Our Into the Common Room segment is we're posting a new one every month on Patreon. But now, second year and up patrons are going to have access to monthly postings for Into the Common Room. And it provides additional content such as bloopers or, the fun that we have before and after each episode. Whenever the tapes are still rolling, everything's still recording, but we kind of shut off the show in our minds or, we're making some last-minute changes. Usually is pretty hilarious. So we invite you to go sign up over at patreon.com/Hogwarts Radio. Second year and up will be able to access that. And all the previous ones that we've released as well. The next one you can count on coming, I believe, in June, because I think we released one for May. I'll double-check that, but if we haven't released one for May, that'll be coming very soon for you guys.
I can endorse this as an unwitting participant. It's fun. And who knows what we say, because I don't remember. Right.
Well,
it's kind of dangerous, actually.
It's crazy because, Jeff, I think you've been with us since, since 2008, really. whenever we
I've been on a couple of episodes, but we've been associated for more than 10 years, yeah.
Yeah. The fun things that we say and the things that we have.
Quote, fun, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember or not, Jeff. Remember, this was 10 years ago. So we were talking about, whenever all the Chuck Norris jokes were big and everything like that.
Yeah.
And we were thinking of trying to spin a Chuck Norris joke, and we ended up putting it like Dumbledore doesn't read Harry Potter, he kills Chuck Norris or something like that. And that was just like one of the best moments of the show.
Yeah.
Up to that point. Yeah.
Well, that's what you can expect in that segment on Patreon, and I can endorse that because I've been a part of it without realizing.
Next, we have a big thank you to those who have left us reviews and ratings on iTunes. Really, your feedback goes an incredibly long way to letting other people know what you think about our podcast. Last announcement is something we've been plugging for the past couple of weeks, and it's our good friend Grayson Smith, who is a former host of the show, has a comic book that is coming out. It's called Another Dimension Comic, and it is an up-and-coming comic book about a teenage Bigfoot, a jackalope, and a Loch Ness monster who battle high school in another dimension. We kindly ask that you give them a follow over on social media, Another Dimension Comic. And if you're on Instagram, that's where he's posting a bulk of these things, and Facebook, you'll be able to see a lot of the illustrations that he has already. And I think it's coming out soon. I don't know if I can disclose it, but he said hopefully by July he's hoping to have that first issue out, and it's going to be for free. It's going to be available online. So I invite you to go check it out. It reminds me of if you guys have ever seen that Netflix series Big Mouth. It's so hilarious. If you haven't, it's not, it's rated R. Trust me. It is way past rated R.
It almost sounded like you were starting a joke there. A teenage Bigfoot, a jackalope, and a Loch Ness monster walk into a bar.
It's good stuff. It is hilarious. Go and check it out on Instagram if you have the time, and just read some of the posts and look at some of the illustrations. Hilarious stuff. Love it to death. Okay, so now the bulk of our discussion is gonna transition away from just the main announcement of this Wizarding World digital kind of platform. We're gonna really talk about Wizarding World Gold, WWG, the World Wrestling Goblins. Anyway, so really before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, Jeff is gonna read us a statement.
As many of us know, MuggleNet broke the story of this whole thing rather suddenly, even though they had been sitting on the info for a while. But, evidence was accumulating, and they just couldn't sit on it anymore, and it turns out it's all true. So that prompted a statement from an uncredited representative of the Wizarding World Digital that apparently was provided to MuggleNet and the Leaky Cauldron, but which only the Leaky Cauldron published. And it says, quote, "Since we launched Pottermore in 2012, the digital landscape has evolved. We want to make it easier for fans to experience and travel through the Wizarding World. To this end, Wizarding World Digital are working on a broad range of new digital experiences, all of which are at different stages of research and development. As announced last week, the new venture will make our content and experiences accessible to the broadest possible audience of Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts fans." Second paragraph. "We're working hard creating a range of products that we hope will surprise and delight fans. Whilst one of these explores a premium concept, the vast majority of the experiences in development are free. We are excited about the next phase of our digital journey and will officially release more information soon." So that was the official statement about all this so far. That's the only quotes that we got outside of what Neil Blair gave to the bookseller interview about this. There is still no official announcement, nothing. So everything that we're about to talk about has been gleaned by various sources, has been discovered through just sniffing around, and we're going to get into that right now, which is pretty cool.
So according to the marketing materials that MuggleNet received, Wizarding World Gold will offer a wide range of products, experience, and exclusives. Quote, "Once-in-a-lifetime experiences, enter regular contests with incredible prizes, attend members-only fan events at Wizarding World locations, and take part in incredible digital experiences. This only for Gold members. Basically, we're going to spoil you rotten. Enjoy priority booking for the always in-demand Cursed Child. Experience upcoming games, exclusive offers, and at real-life Wizarding World locations, plus so much more. Magic things are coming your way." And then there's also an exclusive welcome kit that comes with a paid premium, which Jeff was just talking about, Gold membership. Quote, "Your house-themed, personalized, and fully interactive journal, a collectible gold key pin, and an exclusive print of J.K. Rowling's original sketch of Hogwarts. Interact with your journal, it knows you better than you think, to unlock exclusive content and magical experiences. Wear your gold key pin with pride and recognize fellow Wizarding World Gold members." And there's more information. I know, we got to take a deep breath after this one. There's more information that is trickling out right now, and this is just off of the MuggleNet article that was posted just a few days ago. But let's take a breath for a moment. Let's talk about this concept for a paid tier, access to content, access to Wizarding World content for a price.
Okay. To be fair, they said to the Leaky Cauldron in their discussion that they would not be changing the way they interact with the fan sites. That was pretty non-specific, but I think they were trying to alleviate the fan sites' fears that they are going to be the de facto fan site, which still sounds like they are, honestly. But what is this about? Okay, so as soon as it came out, and since I don't, generally pay additional money to companies for the privilege of buying more of their stuff, I didn't know about Disney's D23, I guess it's called. It's a similar principle. You pay $100 a year to Disney.
Mm-hmm.
You get a magazine every quarter, and you get access to exclusive, things, fan experiences and events that, have tickets and such. But of course, it's all vetted and put on probably by Warner Brothers or Disney in that case, or a Disney licensee, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like a fan club.
Yeah, so I'm assuming this is going to be very, very, very similar.
Tyler, what do you make of this? I mean, is it fair that we would have to pay for additional bonus content and this kind of access to this Wizarding World Gold standard?
I got to be honest and say that when I first heard the news, I have so many people who work in this industry that, it all comes to me eventually. I was excited because how many of us haven't begged for a Harry Potter TV show or, a Harry Potter kind of a extended universe, kind of thing beyond films and beyond books. I don't think a lot of us, when we've thought about that, have actually stopped to think where that would be hosted. Like if it's being put on Netflix, you'd still have to have a Netflix account to watch it. If it's being put on Hulu, you'd still have to have a Hulu account, or even Warner Media's upcoming streaming service. You'd have to have access to that. So, I really wanted to stop and think, is this fair? Is it fair for everybody? And I think what makes it so different than everything else that we consume in terms of media is it all started from books. Books are inherently so easy for you to have access to, thanks to the wonderful libraries that our country is full of. God bless them. Public schools, or even just friends passing it from one to another. I really think that so much of this is rooted in that same idea of accessibility through text and through print. I'm excited for the idea of more content, of course, but I think that's a kind of privileged stance, because here I am in a position in my life where I can afford to throw more money at Warner Brothers, but not everybody else can. And, I kind of went into this in the last episode that I was on, but it does create this, like, are you the biggest fan? Because if so, you need to have this. You need to have the most merch. You need to know the most. You need to have all of this stuff. And I don't know, it kind of makes me feel a little uncomfortable that now it's being officially sanctioned that way.
With a pin that you wear.
Exactly. And the way that they say that too, you can wear this gold pin and others will know.
That.
Yeah.
I don't know. Terrence or Bailey, what are you making of all this?
It's a lot to digest at once. I think that depending on what the content is that they're giving you for your subscription, it could be worth it. Also, depending on how much the subscription actually costs. But, I mean, as I said earlier, the Wizarding World has already been so prolific when it comes to earning money, and it really seems like at this point they're just stretching for any possible way they can to get more of Harry Potter fans' money. They know that Harry Potter fans are dedicated and they crave this information. And so they're probably going to get a lot of people that are going to sign up for this, even though they don't need it.
And is that, what lesson does that teach? I mean, the great thing about Harry Potter is that there were lessons in it and they were all for good. And one of the main ones that I learned and that I am applying to this circumstance is that the Weasleys and even the Malfoys, in fact, if you think about it, prove that money doesn't buy happiness. So the Weasleys had none, but they had love and were happy, and the Weasleys had a ton and they had no love. So, or the Malfoys, I'm sorry.
I saw a tweet yesterday that said, if the Weasleys can't afford it, Harry Potter universe
The
in
franchise
general
shouldn't do
should
it,
not
yeah.
be putting it out.
Yeah, I saw the same thing, and I agree with it in principle. But then, in the same breath, though, what about that, that $200 Harry Potter chess set that it looks amazing and that is really
trips
cool?
to Wizarding World.
Yeah, I mean, those are really expensive, and not everyone can do that.
Look,
and we have them.
I mean, let's talk about the responsibility of this studio towards the brand, right? They're a business. What it boils down to is the Harry Potter Global Franchise Development Team was specifically launched to make the brand money, to kind of consolidate everything, to come up with ideas, to be able to, essentially milk the cash cow. And that's what it, on the bare level, that's what it boils down to. Now, let's talk about, let's play devil's advocate for just a moment, because we are talking about singling out fans who don't have the means to pay to access this kind of bonus content. How can we justify being upset if we have to pay for the books, if we have to pay to go see the movies, if we have to pay for the DVDs, Cursed Child, the theme park, and everything else? Are we sick and tired of having to pay for this stuff? Are we not being provided a service for these things? Are we not being provided with a product?
I think what gets me is that none of those things have been billed as you are the gold tier, you are the premium. You can recognize others who are in this exclusive club that you are. Warner Brothers has never put out, a marketing spiel or some kind of like billboard that's like, hey, go see Crimes of Grindelwald and join other, elite Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts fans. But what really made me uncomfortable is the marketing for WWG. It was, we're going to spoil you rotten, but only if you can pay for it. And we're going to give you this exclusive pin that signifies that you are a cut above everybody else. It just grates on me a little bit, because it's official. No, never before has it been buy the books unless you're not a fan. Do this unless you're not a fan. But now it has this air behind it. And I know they don't say it explicitly like that, but it has this air behind it that's, you have to be this premier, otherwise you're not.
Take this into account. I just went on to Amazon. The Harry Potter paperback book set, all of the books together, are $56. That's not out of reach, I think, for a lot of people versus a lot of other things they could spend their money on if they chose to spend it on this, of course. And imagine what that gets you for $56. The entire texts of the entire Harry Potter series, which is the root of everything and has all the great stuff that we love in it and is what started it all. Now, the movies, I'm sure, cost a bit more, but you're paying, you're buying content. You're getting the stories.
It's tangible. You can hold it in your hand.
Well, in those cases, yes, the books. I was just talking about the getting access to the content itself, really. I mean, or you, as Tyler said, you go to a library and get it for free.
Right.
So to me, it is, content is king, and they know that. And I hope that what we'll be paying for is new content, because that's the only thing that's worth buying as far as I'm concerned.
Another piece of the article here says, and I quote, "You'll have access to exclusive limited edition products and lots of very special offers through our online shop, available only to Wizarding World Gold members."
So buy Wizarding Gold, and we will email you more things you can buy. That's what it sounds like.
And we're going to give you a great deal on it,
or exclusive deals that no one else can get, which is even worse to me.
Yeah.
Or exclusive access
Early
to
access Cursed Child tickets.
Yeah.
I know the other thing that really rubs me, and we'll see what happens, but will they, for the fan sites anyway, for everyone who doesn't pay for Wizarding World Gold, will they demand that the fan sites not republish or report on anything that goes to gold members?
That is exactly what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Because, in my head, the only reason that I would be okay with WWG, Wizarding World Gold, is if the canon, the new stuff from Joe, whatever, if that is free and all that you're paying for Wizarding World Gold is the opportunity to buy limited edition stuff or the opportunity to enter giveaways, that kind of thing, that I would be okay with, because in my head, what is so important to this fandom, and I don't want to speak for the fandom, but what from what I know, is what's so important is the content in that, the knowledge, the canon, the direct from Joe, that kind of thing. Knowledge about it, I think that has so much more weight than these products. And when you cut off that knowledge, when you cut off that ability to learn more about something that you're so excited and passionate about, that's where it gets not okay.
And remember that the quotes that we've seen, the official lines, are that the vast majority of the material on the new site will be free. That's what they said.
Right. Again, they don't specify which material, but they could easily flip a switch and say, hey, want to know if Lavender Brown lived or died? Sign up for Wizarding World Gold. You get the access to this content.
Fine, I'll pay for that, but that's it. No.
Or what if the first...
and then I'll quit after that month.
What if the half of the book is free, and then for the second half you got to... I don't know.
That would be horrible for new readers. Yeah. I'd be like, just go to a library. Yeah.
I do want to ask, though, and open this up to the panel. With all this in mind, is it wrong for Harry Potter fans who do have the means to indulge in Wizarding World Gold? Is it wrong of them to feel excited about it?
No, and you made me think of something really important, which is that I was responsible partly for something that cost a lot of money that a lot of people couldn't do, which was HP fan trips. And I have to realize that and own that and be part of the discussion, because those trips cost thousands of dollars, just like a family trip to Universal Orlando Resort would cost, if you do the proper visit and spend days there, or go on a VIP tour, which is very expensive.
So let's talk about the actual monetization and the brand the monetization of the brand. Our good friend and host Eric Skull wrote this amazing piece over at MuggleNet about it being the wrong time to further monetize the Harry Potter brand. And he goes, it is the opinion of this journalist that the move on Warner Brothers' part to form Wizarding World Gold is a grave mistake. And he goes on to say in the article that they're going to monetize Harry Potter in as many ways as possible. And though this is not a fresh or new concept, it's going to hit the wallets of Harry Potter fans much more regularly. And this is not as altruistic as HBGFT's original mission, which is helping to bring Harry Potter in all its future incarnations to fans all over the world.
Or you could argue that it's exactly that. In all of its forms, well, this is a new form that they've created. I'm being devil's advocate here, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, you could argue that. But as far as accessibility, if you're...
Yes, no, if they're cutting off access, that's the antithesis of what they were trying to do.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, this, what Eric brings up in that article it kind of led me to this thought, but is Warner Brothers trying to recreate the internet, basically? Because I say that because I say that because I've been rereading Melissa Anelli's Harry a History book, and in it she mentions how a lot of what has helped the Harry Potter fandom grow was that it happened in parallel with the rise of the internet, and that connection, the fan sites, the forums, everything happened, fan fiction, all in kind of parallel with the internet. And I can't help but think that Warner Brothers is trying to recreate that by saying, look, okay, we know that Harry Potter grew with technology as it continued to develop. This is just that inevitable next step in this franchise. How can we help monetize that with the latest technology to help it grow like it did in the early days? And Jeff, I'd love your opinion on this because you were around when that all was happening.
Sure. HPA was launched before Facebook existed, before Twitter existed, definitely before Instagram existed. I've always, I cannot take the credit that isn't due to me except for what we were able to do with HPA, which is to, have a community for people. And it was only when we introduced community features that the site exploded in growth. So that's something people want, obviously. And that's something Melissa talked about in depth in Harry history, which is exactly what you said. We grew up, the Harry Potter fandom sprung up with the beginnings of the internet. The early 2000s. HPNA started in 2002. MuggleNet and TLC were just a few years before that. So it was kind of interesting. Like when Twitter came about, I had to decide, how am I going to work this into the site, or how are people going to use it? Now, with running a fan site today is nothing like it was back then. Facebook and Twitter are just two huge headaches, honestly, to deal with outside of running the actual site of a fan site.
Well, see,
and that's just social media in general.
Right.
Which didn't exist back then.
Exactly. People have transitioned away from websites. They've gone to apps. They've gone to everything social. They want the information here and now. They don't want to have to rely on somebody just sitting there waiting to post an article whenever they could have one of their friends kind of spread the same piece of information. They could share it instantly with people online. I feel like the fan site has just become this kind of repository of information, which is still good to have because it's great to reference. But at the same time, if you want the information here and now and the newness of it, you have to go social. I mean, that's the way the world is working now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, whenever there's whenever I hear a whisper of something, I have over 75 Harry Potter related Google alerts set. And whenever I see just the smallest thing, I used to go directly to all of my favorite Harry Potter fan sites, HPNA and ANA, MuggleNet, The Leaky Cauldron. But now my first stop is always Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing.
Because it's instant. It's there.
Well, it's instant and ubiquitous, and anyone can post anything to it, and anyone else can see it immediately.
Right.
But that was the appeal.
And you can see everyone's reaction.
Yes. Right. That was the appeal on a small scale of fan sites, too, though. We were mini social networks before social media occurred, basically. And I honestly think there's definitely still room for it and still a desire for it.
And I really kind of want to just really get into why it's the wrong time to monetize the brand. And look, Eric's article here, this news about Wizarding World Gold comes 2 weeks after it was confirmed that Fantastic Beasts 3 will release a full year after it was originally scheduled, probably to allow the filmmakers as much time possible, along with J.K. Rowling reportedly reworking the script. And Eric goes, let's be honest, the second film was barely coherent. It was far less than what the ever devoted Harry Potter fans have come to expect and deserve from Warner Brothers or J.K. Rowling. And that's just a small piece, you guys. That's a very, very small piece of the stuff that is happening to our fandom right now, our fan community, or, just the Harry Potter fan world in general. This is just not the right time to do this, especially whenever you have so many things happening. Johnny Depp is still up in the air with everything going on. It's just right now wouldn't be a solid good time to get the maximum amount of people they want to be able to sign up for the service.
No, absolutely not. Like, this is something that you kind of ride the wave. You don't try to create the wave, Like, this is something that, hey, we just hit it out of the park with this latest Fantastic Beasts, 3 movie. Cannot believe it. Look at this great reception that we've got. Why don't we try and give more to fans and spin it that way? But instead, they're coming off of a huge, huge loss with Crimes of Grindelwald. And now they're just like, oh, well, that sucked. And it didn't make the right amount of money that we needed. How else can we kind of bridge that gap? I know people hate us right now. Let's just make them hate us a little bit more by introducing Wizarding World Gold.
The amount of money that, for instance, Crimes of Grindelwald made was not insignificant. And I don't think it was less than they had hoped. But isn't it still like over 800 million or something?
No, it barely cracked the
No.
700 million mark.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay. Well,
it's
700, 800.
the lowest
that's a
performing
lot.
Harry Potter film.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously, but that's still, it didn't cost $700 million to make.
No, but I think they're trying to, compare it to,
Well, but you said that it was a big loss. Well, it was not
Oh,
a
sorry.
financial loss. It was
No,
a
not a-
lose in the realm of storytelling. I would agree with, but
I think like comparatively, when you're trying to build
Well,
a
yes.
franchise or expand a franchise, they're going to look at like past films and stuff like that and hope that it does more.
obviously,
I
and
think
compared to all the others, you are absolutely correct. This
Yeah.
was the absolute worst one.
so.
performance-wise.
In maybe their eyes, they would be like, this kind of didn't do as maybe well as we hoped. We're going to kind of see this maybe as not a win, but you're right. Maybe it's not a loss per se, but they can't be happy about it.
No, but I just don't think it had anything to do with this. Is my point. I don't think it was this is any direct result of the success or failure of the last movie.
No. But I mean, I'm
It
saying
may have played into it, but I don't think it was the catalyst or anything.
I mean,
honestly, that's my opinion.
I mean, I'm saying like this as it's just the wrong time to further monetize the brand, because you had
That I
this
can
low
agree with. Yes,
you
that
had this-
sentiment
Mhm.
is exactly spot on. Which is, this movie was poorly received.
right.
We didn't respond to it very well afterwards. Even now, let's piss off the fans even more.
Exactly. Yep. Agreed.
Bailey, what was the point you were going to make?
Oh, just that, it seems like they didn't make enough money through the Crimes of Grindelwald film, so now they're moving on to their next money-making venture instead of waiting till the franchise as a whole is perhaps in a better place before they start offering this to fans. I think if the fans were happier with the franchise in general, they would be more receptive to this idea.
I think you're absolutely right. If this came off of one of their big blockbuster movies, obviously they couldn't have anticipated what would happen after the last Harry Potter movie, but that was their last great opportunity, except for maybe the first Fantastic Beasts movie.
So Tyler, my question for you is that how does Warner Brothers as a whole begin to repair the relationship with the fan community, the Harry Potter fan community? I mean, it's been damaged, not beyond repair, but it's been, damaged pretty rough. We've had a really rough couple of years with this franchise. And what does WB do to kind of rectify this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously I can only speculate and offer my suggestions, but if I were the VP of the Harry Potter Global Franchise Division or Department, whatever it is, I would, first of all, instate like a lexicon where it's like, you cannot say that we are creating a tiered system for fans. It's not what is going to go over well with the Harry Potter fandom. Sure, it might work for other ones, but you can't have that marketed. You cannot do that. I think that if it was marketed maybe a little bit different, or if this news had come out a little bit differently that didn't include that, maybe we wouldn't have been as upset. I say that, but then I remember the reception for Cursed Child and how there was a lot of like accessibility concerns for that as well. I think the second thing would be, let's just give the fans what they want. Get rid of Johnny Depp. I'm not going to turn this into like a Johnny Depp Crimes of Grindelwald thing, but if you're going to try and reconnect with fans, get rid of him because he's sinking your franchise. And then last, just be authentic. Don't make this about money on your end. Sure, we know that Disney makes money out the wazoo by all of their properties, but there's something genuine on their side when it comes to marketing that I like more than what WB does. Disney is like, wow, look at this great film. It's so amazing. It's going to be this. But Warner Brothers is like, wow, look at this great film. Also, look at all this stuff that you can buy. And it's just, I don't know. There's something about it when it comes to Warner Brothers and the use of like trademarks and all this stuff. Like, I don't want a Hogwarts acceptance letter with Hogwarts TM. You know what I mean? And it just feels like everything is to protect their cash grab. So I would put those three things in effect. I don't know. Bailey, what do you think? Do you have thoughts on how WB could reinstate their loyalty with fans?
I think everything you suggested is a fantastic idea. I mean, going back to the Johnny Depp point, it's not as if we've not seen this character change faces already in the films, and it's such an easy step for them to recast him into a new actor. And I honestly think that would be leaps and bounds of Warner Brothers getting more faith with the fans.
I tend to agree. I have not been as hardline or hardcore with the Johnny Depp issue as some have, but that's because I really still place a lot of my faith in J.K. Rowling, and she said that he was okay. We can talk about that, or maybe that's not for this discussion, but there's been a lot of stuff with the trial, if you're paying close attention to, where maybe we don't know all of it, and we'll never know. It was problems between a couple that we may never know exactly what happened. That's just the truth of it. But one person says one thing and the other person says another thing. Who do you believe? That's the whole Me Too thing. That's everything about it. So, who do you believe? But do we believe J.K. Rowling? And I choose to, because I still think she has a vested interest and the best interests at heart for Harry Potter and for her creations, which are still ongoing. She's still making Fantastic Beasts, and we don't even know how it's going to end or what's to come. So I'm reserving judgment until all of this is done with Johnny Depp. I will agree that I think it would be easier and cleaner to just recast him. Absolutely. And there's also a huge number of fans who I think are solidly just anti him now, and nothing will ever change that, unfortunately. But the more I've read, and I haven't been trying to find him innocent or guilty or anything like that. I've just been reading, and the more I've been reading is that maybe one of them wasn't as truthful as the other was, or they were both untruthful, and it's just a confusing mess, basically.
I think we can all agree. Yeah, that is a mess. Jeff,
and it has bogged down the franchise. It is 100%. It's 1,000% accurate. It is decimating the fandom. I will give it that. It's just the issue. No matter what it is or what you believe, it's the issue that is there, and that it's ongoing and it's not resolved, and we're still unclear about it, and nobody can say what's what. That's irritating, and that's upsetting to fans, and I know that.
So, Jeff, you and I were having this discussion offline the other day, and you brought up a good point. You said usually our voices collectively have been pretty loud as fans. Now, what is it exactly that we can do as fans to let Warner Brothers know that we don't think that this is the right direction for this franchise as far as the paywall?
I think they've heard pretty loudly the response, because keep in mind, they didn't announce this. None of this is official. This is all in response to what the fans have discovered or were given. My thinking is that, do you recall when Pottermore had that round of layoffs in, 2018?
Yeah.
Right.
And
their editorial staff, if I remember correctly.
Yes, right. And you remember MuggleNet in their original post about exclusively breaking this story that they've sat on this for quite some time.
Right.
So my thinking, and this is again my own feelings, is that somebody maybe who was laid off passed some of these materials to them, to MuggleNet, and since it was since it was so long ago and nothing was really clear, and now it's all coming into focus, they decided to print it now, and it turns out that it's all true, and that it's not, it's not research and development stage, it's like production. They're like ready to go stage almost. I mean, the marketing materials that we've seen that MuggleNet had and that the Rolling Library has uncovered, which we haven't even talked about, are all but finished and polished marketing materials. I mean, the writing of them, the breathless, we're going to spoil you and all that, that's not to say that they're going to use that material, obviously, and they may not, but it's pretty clear that it was produced and made and polished and finished, or near finished, in my opinion. So they may not care what we have to say because it may be too late. Honestly,
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I think the biggest way for fans to really speak out against this, if they don't believe in it, is to not support it. It's the easiest way to send a message that this isn't something that the fans want and they're not going to have it.
Yeah, but I thought that was going to happen with Hogwarts Mystery after it was clear that was a cash grab. And that did not happen. So I don't trust consumers anymore, honestly. Not just Harry Potter consumers, just consumers in general.
Well, I was gonna say too, like I kind of asked this earlier, but will other fans look down on fans who participate in Wizarding World Gold? Is this, kind of one of those things where we're trying to create like a solidarity kind of movement by not indulging in it, or are we going to kind of not shame, but call out those who do? And if so, is there justification for doing that? Is it wrong to become a premium subscriber of Wizarding World content?
I don't think it's wrong to become a subscriber, but I do think it's wrong to shame and look down on others that are not able to afford that same opportunity. And I don't think as premium subscribers, people should be rubbing it in other people's faces. I mean, that's already a big given there.
And I don't think they should be. I don't think anyone should be shamed for getting it either if it's their choice.
It should be like ethical, like consumerism, right?
It's the same argument I made earlier about, you want to buy the $400 beautiful Harry Potter chess set. That's your prerogative. You don't have to, but that's kind of different. And I understand that. That's one piece of one thing.
Yeah.
That's a chess set. That's a very, very, very specific thing.
Right. Because I know myself, and I mean, I know I turned off my camera when we're recording, but behind me is 1/4 of my entire Harry Potter collection just on 3 bookshelves. Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to be a subscriber. I know I will be. I'm in that place in my life where I can be. And I feel bad that, not everybody else is as privileged as I am to be able to do that.
Well, they're counting on people like you and whoever can do it.
Same boat.
Yeah, I mean, and we can't. I agree. We can't shame people for getting it or for not getting it or for not having it. And whatever happens, we cannot let the fandom be splintered into these haves and have-nots. That would be the most disgusting outcome of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So before we wrap up the segment here, Jeff had discovered some posts by the Rolling Library, which again has no affiliation with J.K. Rowling. This is a fan entity, but you discovered some pretty interesting things that just broke the day that we're recording.
Yeah, I had a short talk with I think how do you pronounce his name is Patricio from the Rolling Library, who turns out was an HPA&A fan for a long time when he was a kid and teenager. He discovered a new mobile app that is going to be released as part of this, a new login system for wizardingworld.com, and one or both of those together, it's unclear, may be called Wizarding World Passport. And that's how you'll get in to the whole thing, is your Wizarding World Passport. And it sounds like you'll be able to convert it from your old Pottermore account and various other things. So this is all just framework stuff, that enables the whole system to work. But they were discovered today, and we should give credit to them. The last piece was a new payment gateway, which sort of verifies that they're going to be taking money. But the funny part of that is that the domain that was discovered by the Rolling Library was nonifflers.com. You can't go to it. I mean, you can try, but nothing's going to happen. I did a little digging after that and discovered a subdomain on that domain called www.nonifflers.com. That's 2 W's instead of 3, which we can imagine what that stands for. So that kind of gave more verification to it, because the only subdomains that I discovered on there were www.nonifflers and www.nonifflers. So it's either a typo or a purposeful thing.
might be a typo. I just tried it. www.nonifflers.
No, I told you the site's not active. Nothing works. The full domains are configured though.
Okay.
Just so you remember.
Yeah,
the site doesn't do anything. In fact, if you go to www, oh wait,
I get a 403 error.
If you go to www, it'll respond. The www won't respond at all, but it does exist. I looked it up in the DNS system. So there's that. Just some more tidbits that kind of verify all this and shine a little more light on it. In fact, the Rolling Library has more exclusive pictures that they uncovered of finished marketing materials today that they found from, I'm presuming that they found dug around on the sites earlier before they were taken off. So, yeah, they have screenshots and and like I said, these are what appear to be totally finished, polished marketing materials.
Wow.
Yeah, they look great. I just found an old tweet of mine recently where I tweeted at Pottermore, please create a mobile app. And
Ta-da.
we're finally going to get one, but not from Pottermore because that brand is going to die, but from Wizarding World Digital.
Well, this was part of our. This is part of HPNA's and Wizarding News' long relaunch process, but we are planning to have an app as well. Just putting that out there.
Oh, heck yeah. Instant.
It's not going to be anything amazing, but it'll give you mobile access to the community portions of Wizarding News, which are still in progress.
Very, very cool. A lot of good stuff and a wonderful, wonderful discussion by some of the smartest people I know. You guys are amazing. Each and every one of you.
So honored. I'll put that on my resume.
Do you have a pin for us?
No pins.
Hogwarts Radio Gold. Come on.
I'm holding up the 3-finger thing right now, holding up the Mockingjay.
Oh, you know what I wanted to say about all this, the whole extra, we're going to spoil you on Wizarding World Gold and everything. Isn't that a playbook direct? I mean, we kind of touched on it. It's right out of the fan site's playbook, but we do it out of necessity. We need the support of our readers and viewers and
yes.
visitors. They don't. I mean, they do in a way, obviously, but they're going to get their money from our viewers, basically.
Yeah.
That's what struck me as is, wait a minute, that's what we do because we need support. We give everything away for free except for basically extras that people can choose to get.
So we did ask this question, speaking of Patreon, we did ask this question to our patrons this week. What are your thoughts on Wizarding World Gold? And Bailey, you're going to read a couple of the responses here.
Absolutely. So first up, we had Matt, who said, "This is definitely a cash grab in the wake of Pottermore not being what they had hoped it would be. I don't really have any interest in the digital content. The only way I can see myself paying for this is if the exclusive products they offer are really cool." Second, we had Michael, who is our producer of today's episode. So thank you, Michael, for commenting on this post. And thank you, Matt, as well. He says, "If we're talking about Gold Status providing a new Ilvermorny TV show done well, then I'll happily do it. If this new tax on our fandom is for more trivial content as far as articles, quizzes, generic fun stuff, probably not. Can I get a wicked cool exclusive merch by being a member? The collector in me says I'd probably pay. I guess a big factor is what's the actual cost in real dollars or pounds, depending on where you live. I find it somewhat curious why no price has been alluded to at this point. I'm wondering if a price will come after the decision makers feel out the fandom's reaction to the whole idea in general. I guess I'd say I would pay more. How much I'd pay, that's hard to say, if I'm blown away with what I'll get for it." I really like that he compared it to a tax on the Wizarding World. That
was interesting, yeah.
A Wizarding World tax. That's what we're going to call WWG.
Oh, jeez.
Wizarding World greed. That's what it is.
Well, Mike made a really good point, which is we should reserve judgment, or at least partially, until we see what exactly it'll cost and what's in it. I mean, we have a pretty good idea of what they intended it to be before this leak happened, but who knows how they're going to adjust it now.
Yeah, I still don't.
Adjust is what I said. I didn't say change. Because I'm pretty sure much of this is pretty solid.
It just doesn't sit well with me that people that are not going to have the means to be able to pay for this they're not going to be able to access this exclusive content, and
that's why I hope it's just extra content. But it doesn't sound like it, because what if, the people that the reason I brought up the cost of the Harry Potter books on Amazon of being $56 is because the Disney similar service from Disney, D23, costs $100 a year. And I'm talking about spending $56 one time and you own the entire Harry Potter series. Think about that.
Oh, I just came up with a thought about that. D23 is the fan club, right? And you're getting like your merchandise, you're getting all that stuff, but it's not content focused.
Oh.
The Disney Plus streaming service is already the cheapest streaming service that is about to enter the market yet.
Yeah, isn't it going to be like $5.99 a month?
It's dirt cheap. And so that makes me wonder if WB did the same thing, if the Wizarding World franchise, whatever team, if they did the same thing where it's like, okay, cool, you've got, your premium fan club thing where it's not restricting content or knowledge. There you go. That's that. And we've also got this content streaming service that you've all been asking us for, this app, whatever, that's dirt cheap.
Oh my God. If Wizarding World Gold included streaming access to the movies, I think everyone would get it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder, I mean, obviously this is all speculation, but that I could see being okay with the fandom. Yes. I could see fans being tight with that. It's like you've got your premier fan club thing that doesn't restrict the content or the knowledge, and then you've got your access to that content and or knowledge for free, if not for a very, very cheap price.
And before we get too excited about that, though, I have to remember that I think it's NBC Universal Comcast has the exclusive broadcast and streaming rights to all the Harry Potter movies until, I want to say 2024 or longer.
Does that include streaming? I know that it was broadcast, but I'm
pretty sure it included streaming because I read that the movies are going to be on their streaming service when they launch.
How does that work?
That's Warner Media.
Or theirs, I'm sorry. Or, maybe you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. It must be broadcast rights.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just broadcast.
Yeah,
okay.
Because streaming, the series is available in Mexico on Netflix. It's very, very interesting. We saw it for the first time a couple of months ago, me and my wife, when we went down there, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't know Netflix had streaming rights in Mexico to the Potter series.
Yeah, because it's nowhere here.
Right.
Right. Well, Sci-Fi actually, what is it? .com. You can log in through your provider. I think it's sci-fi.com/Harry Potter. Let me just check.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it and I was surprised. I was like, what is this? You can log in, and sometime, like last time I checked, they had one Fantastic Beasts movie available to stream from their website.
Possibly, and you have other services like Vudu and things like that do have the movies on there as well. Of course, it's a paid service, but nonetheless, they are available to stream, and they are behind a paywall. So, I mean, that's all going to change whenever Warner Brothers launches their streaming service anyway. But the last kind of point that I really wanted to make here, and it's funny that you guys were bringing up Disney and D23 and the fan club and everything like that. And the only thing that I really have a pushback against that is that Disney itself was built off the idea of monetization. I mean, I'm sorry, Walt had an idea, but his idea was, let me go ahead and make cartoon shorts. Let me make eventually movies. Let me make the theme parks. And that was based off of, the idea of ultimately the business's decision of making money. And Harry Potter wasn't. Harry Potter didn't start out as that. It started out as a book series. So I think those are two very distinct differences between the two brands there.
Not only, but it started as a book series where publisher after publisher told Joe,
turned her down. Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make it as a children's author. You should get other work.
Right.
Just think about that.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely.
You certainly wasn't thinking of making money from it at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
At the beginning. Let's make that clear.
Well, I guess that is about it. Does anybody have any final thoughts about today's discussion? It was pretty deep.
My only thought is I want to hear from J.K. Rowling's lips about this. That is what I'm waiting for.
And she has been tight-lipped about every single thing.
She's been tight-lipped since January when she disappeared.
Yeah, she disappeared. I mean, 2019 came around.
Busy.
I think she's been taken. We should call Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I want a Pottermore announcement video that we got from Joe. I want Joe sitting on a white couch. I want her telling us all about Wizarding World Gold, and
the current newspaper.
Yeah, everything like that. I don't want to wand to her head or anything, but I am curious to see how this is all gonna play out. And I'm tentatively nervous, but at the beginning of this, I was tentatively excited, or hesitantly excited. So we'll see where this goes.
Bailey, any final thoughts?
I am excited to see what the potential perks and I guess levels of the Wizarding World Gold are, and I am going to reserve judgment until I find out what these are and decide then if I'm going to spend my money on it.
I think we're about out of time for this week's episode anyway. Let's go ahead and, does anybody have anything to plug? I know, Tyler, you're working on the Meeting Walt podcast right now, which has been superb thus far. I've really been enjoying it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, of course, I've got that going on. And then, of course, the Harry Potter inspired Wizarding World animal rights group, the Protega Foundation that I oversee. Got a lot of great stuff that's in the works, and we just brought on a bunch of new people to help us save more magical creatures, but that's where I can be found.
I love it. Jeff, anything you want to plug?
Not at this time. Okay. I am still working on getting Wizarding News up and running again. I know it's been a long time coming, and I really appreciate everyone's patience and support while we do it. It will be worth it, and it will come in time, and that time will hopefully be this year, based on a number of things that have happened in my personal life, which are too complicated to get into right now.
Jeff, I do want to say a big thank you for all the work that you've done within the Harry Potter community. I've known of you for so long, and HPANA is one of the first sites that I used to visit as a teenager, so thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. That always makes me really happy and smile, so it's awesome to hear.
Well, we want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. A special thank you to all of our patrons who are tuning in as we record this episode. And remember, you can become a patron, too, of Hogwarts Radio. Just visit patreon.com/Hogwarts Radio to get started today. Once again, I am Terrence Pinkston.
I'm Bailey Riddle.
I'm Tyler Starr.
And I'm Jeff Gillum.
And we'll see you next time for episode 245. Bye-bye.